Hey everyone, welcome to the Vegan Stew. I'm Helene from Triangle Veg Fest Expo's virtual Veg Fest live as well. And it's time for the Vegan Stew. Pretty excited. It is our last show of the year. I think it's episode 14. It means we've done 14 of these and we've had some very interesting conversation and topics, and look forward to 2022 having even more. And our stew crew will keep morphing. And who is here today? Laura's back. Yes. So Laura's back, and it'll be four of us today. And then we'll carry through to next year. Sangeeta is back in the country. She's back from India, safe and sound, but she will be back with us in January. And Dawn, happy Kwanzaa to everyone who celebrates. So Dawn is celebrating the third night of Kwanzaa. So if that is something that you do, we wish you a happy Kwanzaa as well. Let's see, you can win some really cool prize packs. It's a couple of days left in December. If you go to virtualvegfest.com and hit the contest tab, you can win a prize pack through our Wish Pond for Follow Your Heart or Gain, Crafters Organics, Cinnaholic. Oh my gosh, Kimberly, help me. Not Rebel Cheese, Revolution Gelato, and Kohodo Foods. And the seventh one is completely lost out of my brain right now. But there are 7, and it's your last chance to win Crafters Organic because they are stopping this year and they're not going to continue in 2022. But we're going to see if we can place that, which we are. We have a contest in our newsletter, but no one's entered it, which is sad. But we will have another company coming on board that will be sponsoring in January. So you see that in a couple of weeks. We are the first Wednesday of the month. Well, we are every Wednesday of the month except for the first one. So next week on Wednesday at 7 p.m., you'll see Coach Kayla, and then we will be back the following week with some topic that I don't know what it is. Please, if you're watching on Vegan Stew on YouTube, hit subscribe and notification button so that you can know when we go live and join us for our conversation. Tonight is about Veganuary. A little thing, thank you to TerraSeed for sponsoring. A TerraSeed, that's our the prize pack. So there we go, good for me. One thing that is not the happiest of news, but our friends at Imagine Vegan Cafe, their daughter Savannah was in a very serious car accident on Christmas Eve where she was hit head on, and she is in the hospital with too many broken bones to list. And there is a GoFundMe for them. I'm going to put that in the comments. If you're so inclined to donate towards her care, please do, because she has a long recovery. And if you've been at any of our events in the past year, you know Imagine Vegan Cafe comes from Memphis, and they feed all of you, and they're an amazing family. So Savannah's their oldest. She's 20 years old, and she is in need of a lot of whatever you do, prayers, high healing energy. I don't care what it is, send it that way. So I'm going to bring the crew. Let's do it. Welcome back, Laura Ball from Plant Powered Studios.
Hello.
And then we've got Kimberly Winters from Did You Bring the Hummus? And we have Marla Rose from veganstreet.com.
Hey.
So everybody, Marla, let's talk about current events. Laura's going to talk about current events, and Kimberly's got current events, and then we'll talk about Veganuary.
Yeah. Well, I think that to my mind, the biggest piece of news since the last time we talked is that Italy has banned fur farming. Hey, yes, that's awesome news. And, you know, it feels like it's happening so fast and furious that it's hard for me to keep up with the various countries that are now banning fur farming. So Italy's, they will be phasing that out within 6 months. So in the middle of 2022. And let me try to remember. Oh God, it's just terrible because there's so much news all the time. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Alexandra. I think, oh God, I can't remember, but I think I talked about it within the last few months. But anyway, so, and then what it also happens is I conflate the bans of the fur industry with the bans of the states that are banning the vivisection against, you know, the anti-animal testing. Is very hard to keep up with everything because it does feel like a lot of these industries that have been kind of teetering on the edge are getting some more nails in their coffins. So, France of all places banned fur farming. So it's like these countries that are very associated with high fashion, Vogue, not Vogue, because we're still waiting on them. But I know that a major
Elle.
Elle, that's it,
Mm-hmm.
a major magazine with issues in all the countries. They're now no longer going to be. They're reading the writing on the wall is really what's going on. So it's not, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Let's hope leather is next.
Exactly. So I'm wondering, do you guys have any thoughts about that? Or I remember for so many years in the 90s, we protested the fur industry. We'd go out for Fur Free Friday and we'd walk in the cold and people would laugh at us and claim that we were wearing leather shoes when we weren't. And so we'd have to wear like Keds in the snow. So that was always a good time.
Were you throwing like red paint on people too?
Oh, that's part of the whole outfit, but it felt like for so long there was no traction on that, and it's just almost like that the proverbial lost cause. And it does feel like finally consumer demand is saying, we don't want this. The younger generation just didn't grow up with it, doesn't romanticize it, it's just not part of their vernacular. So I think it's good stuff. What are you guys thinking about it?
I think it's fantastic. It's definitely something I think too took a pretty big turn after the whole zombie mink fiasco, where they gassed, what was it,
That's
God, how many? It was like millions of minks or something like that, and they all came out from the ground, and it was just it was just
really
awful and horrible. But fur is a thing of the past, and I'm hoping soon. So will down. Down is also phasing out. Where they're not lining jackets and things like that with it, or stuffing pillows, or feather top beds are now non-existent. It's all an alternative. And then with all these great new inventions for leather alternatives, not just for the fashion industry, but for the interior industry as well. It's very exciting.
Pineapple, mushrooms,
apple. Yeah, exactly. You can go on and on. It's pretty awesome.
And that's one of the things that's so exciting, is not only just how much more sustainable and, it's just, I think that the thing is that the resourcefulness of our community is really becoming engaged now. Like, it's just like, you don't have to keep repeating the same old stuff. We've got, and then people are learning from the techniques and the innovations of others, and it's all elevating, which is so exciting. And one of the things that I researched a couple of years ago is just, as to your point, as to the down industry, and then we can also include like wool and leather. Those are industries that the down is a little different, but the other industries, they prop up the meat industry. They're one of the most profitable areas of the meat industry. So the more we can sort of move away from supporting those industries, the better,
Exactly. So. Well, and the whole thing where people say, well, leather's just a byproduct of the meat industry. That's not true.
It's not true.
Some of it is. But a lot of cows are bred specifically for their leather.
Right.
And I think I talked about that before, but especially in Europe, most European cows are bred solely for their leather, for fashion industry, or for interiors. So they won't use barbed wire fences. They spray them with bug sprays. They don't have bite marks, blemishes, those type of things. So that's just not true. If you see leather that has a whole bunch of blemishes, that's probably from Brazil or from, somewhere in South America, because they don't take those precautions, because that is a byproduct of the meat industry. But I think it's kind of exciting because now we're saying, okay, it's broke, let's fix it.
Right.
Where, the generations before us were like, oh, it's fine. This is how we've always done it. Why change it? And now we're finally waking up to the fact that it does need to change, and that we need to look at a greener future.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Kimberly,
that leads
any
me.
thoughts? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm pretty excited. Speaking of which, Maisie Williams, my girl Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, she just came out with a new vegan apple leather handbag line, which is pretty exciting. So seeing like this, Gen Z generation really come up with these awesome new innovations for the fashion industry is pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting because I think it's like when you think you're so limited, like, oh, you don't get to use leather, you don't like get to use wool, you don't like it really once you take the blinders off about, the supposed limitations, you see how much potential there is and so much more, and it's just so much more exciting and alive and dynamic and creative and all of that. Kimberly, did you have any thoughts about it? I'm sure you do.
Well, just to comment on what you just said, Marla, is yeah, people think or feel like veganism is so restrictive. Oh, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't use this, whatever. But it totally isn't, from the food to the different kinds of products we use and the clothes that we wear and the shoes that we buy.
Right.
Like it really does, it forces you to look
Right.
for other things, and you can discover all kinds of amazing foods and things. And it's just like, I wish people would stop saying can't.
Right.
I wish it would be a lot more, and I hear it from other vegans, and I think without even thinking, they'll go, "Oh no, I can't have that."
Right,
Like,
right,
stop
right,
saying that.
Mhm.
You don't want that, or you won't have
Reframe,
that. Don't
reframe.
tell people you can't. You
Right.
could.
Mhm.
It just, you don't want to.
I
You choose not to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I choose not to. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is like,
Absolutely.
and with the younger generation coming out with all these ideas, like Laura, you're saying, like, they're just innovating like crazy.
Right.
The possibilities are endless now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we just have to have that bigger view, that like,
Right.
it isn't just this small pond,
Right.
that we're all looking into. Like, it's a huge ocean out there.
Absolutely. And I think it kind of tracks a little bit with, like my son is 19 and his generation, it may feel like a total different topic, but they just think about gender identity in a very different way. They don't, when we were growing up, it was much more narrow,
Yeah.
and also just much more shame around deviating from the norm, quote unquote. And I feel like his generation they're just looking at the world in a different way. And I feel like that tracks kind of also with this mentality. It's just like, why not, this apple? Why not these mushrooms? Why, what's next? So Helene,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on things.
I feel it's a matter of not saying can't, but the choices that you make. And there's so many choices that I mean, we live our lives, for many of us, for many, many years, making choices from what people feel is a limited pool, but actually isn't. And now there is no limited pool, because there's something of pretty much everything that you possibly could have
Right.
out there.
Right.
So a couple of other people are watching that we can't see, and Stacy O'Brien on Nashville Veg Fest, and Dixie Sparks at Healing Prayers for Savannah. So thank you for that, from Florida Voices for Animals. And Patricia, I met in Vegas when I was out there, because we happened to be there at the same time. She lives in San Diego. So that's pretty cool. And everyone else. So welcome. Yeah, it's interesting topic. But we can delve into deeper as a main topic.
Yeah. Well, if you guys are comfortable with me pivoting to the main topic, it is kind of, there are some similarities. So tonight we're talking about Veganuary, which was started in the UK. It's a big campaign, and I think it's going on in something like 209 countries participating. Last year they had 528,000 participants, and this year they're anticipating more. And so that's just veganuary.org. You'd be able to find that pretty easily just Googling. So like I said, it's based in the UK, but they do have versions of their materials in all the different participating languages, I believe. So if you sign up for Veganuary, it's a free program. You get vegan starter kits. So it starts January 1st, of course, and then it goes to January 31st, thinking of it like a resolution. Like and you pledge, I'm going to, I don't know the exact verbiage, but do my best to be vegan, or I pledge to be vegan the month of January. And then it gives you all kinds of supplemental materials that help you to transition, or, help you to see how much, as we were talking about before, how much variety and possibility there really is. You get a starter kit, you get recipes, you get a daily message to kind of keep you on track. You even get like a free e-cookbook with like celebrity contributors or something. So the theme I want to hammer here is free. It's free. All this stuff. There's no like trickery. It's not trying to get you to sign up and then sign up for your personal coach and then sign up for this and that. And, so, I mean, I imagine you could go on. I believe it is app friendly, phone friendly, all that stuff. But anyway, so, a lot of like last week we talked about resolutions and, our thoughts about them. Most of us, I think, talked about like, we're not really pro resolution, we're kind of pro goal. But there are a lot of people who want to bring change into their lives, and weekly, daily calendars can be a really important part of that. So I'm wondering, do you guys have thoughts about Veganuary? And then I was going to also just say one little quick aside is that because it is based in the UK and they're more entrenched there, I see you, Helene, and is they work a lot with different beloved corporations there, or business entities. So to try to get them to release products specifically to sort of build on the excitement and momentum around Veganuary. Sorry, that's my phone. I can't find it. But so like the Baby Bell cheeses, those little wax cheeses that I don't know.
Baby cheese.
So anyway, they're coming out with a vegan wax cheese, or the cheese is not wax. It is encased
encased in green wax.
The 1990s vegan cheeses were for sure wax. But Subway is participating in the UK. These are all UK. You have Papa John's. There may be stuff going on in the US where companies are releasing specific products for in conjunction with Veganuary. Not I don't know of them, but in the UK it's very big. Helene, what was your comment?
Thanks, Marla. That's amazing. So Veganuary, Wendy Matthews is the person who works for them in the US. And she used to work for, if you know her name, for Farm Sanctuary of state New York and California. And Wendy Matthews was on Virtual Veg Fest Live to talk about Veganuary last year. And I'm just going to read a little excerpt from their website so you can get an idea of what 2021 was like. So Veganuary is a nonprofit organization that encourages people worldwide to try vegan for January and beyond. During the 2021 campaign, more than 500,000 people took our pledge to try a vegan diet, while more than 825 new vegan products and menu options were launched in our key campaign countries. Throughout the year, Veganuary encourages and supports people and businesses alike to move to a plant-based diet as a way of protecting the environment, preventing animal suffering, and improving the health of millions of people, which is amazing. Vegas, I'll go back to Vegas, has had a Veganuary month pre-COVID. They have so many restaurants there that they can do a whole, and that's to get the restaurants that aren't vegan to be more vegan. And Vegas is like ridiculous with the vegan restaurants at this point. It's a mecca.
It used to not be. It used to be not very vegan.
I know, but it's I haven't even posted all our pictures yet from our Vegas trip. I haven't posted our pictures yet from our Florida trip. So it is, so Veganuary it's a non-threatening, easy way to make a decision or choice in the month of January, where most people make decisions and choices to do something different than they were doing in December after eating and eating and eating for the holidays. and you think I need to get healthier for January, hopefully beyond that, and you can go to and sign up, and they handhold you. No pressure. That's the most important thing is no pressure, and
Right.
give you tools, the
It's
tools
friendly.
to be able to do it.
Mhm.
And of course, you have not just Veganuary, you've got us as a resource as well for anybody that wants to try, go vegan, whatever it is. I don't think we care what it is. We just want you to try it.
Yep.
Right.
And you have our full support. And that's all, the whole Stew crew, obviously not
Mhm.
just the four of us
Yeah.
that are here. So I haven't even looked at what Patricia has posted, but thanks for commenting and thanking her. So Patricia's amazing. She's in the health field, so she's got the education to talk about.
Mhm. Yeah,
helping
there's so
people.
many. I mean, that's the thing that is so. It makes me almost need to like chill out. I just get very excited about how much talent we have and how much it feels like it's finally we're coming into our own. We're finally at a place where people are starting to listen to us, and but there are so many talented, so many just brilliantly creative, so many innovative, so many kind, so many resourceful people in our movement that I just feel like there's nothing we can't do. And there's, like there are so many ways to reach people, so many different communication styles within our ranks. We can reach everyone. So anyway, that excites me. So
yeah, and I also see this month as just being like, a month to celebrate being vegan too. And I also kind of see it as a chance to be like the vegan Jehovah's Witness for 30 days. So it's like usually every January I post like one fact a day, to upset or make people think, which usually does upset, the small-minded people. But, force them to think about their choices. And, we've got 80 billion land animals and 8 billion people on this planet. Why are people hungry? It's not just about the animals either. How much grain and water does it take to feed each farm animal? If you take that into account, it's not really about the animals, not all about them. It's also about the people. We wouldn't have anybody go hungry if we didn't eat meat.
Right.
So it's so many different things.
Underlying structural and systemic issues too of racism, capitalism, that it's a very complicated set of things. But the thing is that we're offering ideas for, actionable solutions toward, a better future. So Kimberly, your thoughts on would you have, what would your thoughts, like say you were a pre-vegan and the idea of Veganuary popped into your, sphere somehow, would that have compelled you? Would that have been interesting?
Oh yeah, for sure. It would have been nice to have some help.
Do I hear a little edge in there? Just kidding.
Just, when I first went vegetarian, I didn't know how to cook. I knew nothing about food, and it would have been really helpful to have some tips. And maybe I would have gone vegan right away.
Yes.
Back then, if I had more information, for sure.
Yeah. It's just like that actual legitimate help, not just like, I'm here to support you, which is great, but just to say, here are places you can eat where you normally go. Here are places you can, you can order vegan by doing this. But also just like structurally, just being able to put, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago now that Veganuary worked with some, I don't even remember what it's called, but like some beloved, out of control, beloved sausage type company in the UK where they released their, Veganuary thing. And it was a vegan sausage. And of course, the real traditional, conventional people lost their collective shit over that. Oh my God! And it was as though they were replacing, hey, John, do you remember what that's called? I'm sorry. Anyway. It's like a one syllable, but anyway, it was simple. Okay. So it was simply going to be released during that month, and it was so popular and sold out constantly that they just continued selling it. So when you're able to sort of make inroads that way, when you're able to just make it a no-brainer that your whole family can go out and say there's 8 people and there's 2 vegans, you can all eat out now. And no, the vegans don't have to get the side salad with no dressing and the plain potato, so
And the French fries.
yeah. Well, that I'm not going to complain about. But my point is that when those things start happening in a bigger, deeper, more wide level, then we're going to start to see real changes for the animals and for the environment, so it's exciting. And I don't know. You caught me on a good day. The doom and gloom is not here. But anyway, so one of the things that's frustrating to me is I want to try that Baby Bell cheese, because I remember there's like a little tab that you
have to pull on to have it come apart. Yes,
so it's not here yet, but it will be. I think, I would imagine.
Well, there are some cheeses that are like that. They're not in the wax, but Planet Protein, not Planet Protein, the Planet cheese. They have one.
I don't think we get those here, or maybe I haven't
Good
seen
Planet.
I just got the Gouda, I think it is. The Gouda flavor. I just got it in my Imperfect produce box. I haven't tried it yet, but it came yesterday, so I'm pretty excited.
I see the kitty cat. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Planet, that cheese wasn't great. The dairy cheese.
It's more about the nostalgia.
Yeah,
that's what I said. The dairy cheese wasn't
repeatedly. You don't need to buy it. But I also think, Benny, way to show off. But I also think that sometimes it's the novelty of it, but also the first generation of a new thing, whether it's string cheese or this or that, a lot of times they're a little hit and miss, because they're the first generation. And then the new ones innovate over that. And then a lot of times you're seeing these days vegan businesses coming out with, and I know this sounds cliche, but new and improved versions. Like I think that Beyond Meat, which has been successful since the launch, has come out with a few different tweaks and improvements.
I think they're on number 4.
Right. So to me, that speaks to the innovation. It speaks to the lack of, just taking yourself like so seriously that this is perfection. One of the things that I talked about with Miyoko Shinner, I interviewed her a few months ago of Miyoko's Vegan Cheeses, is one of the things that she said is one of the issues that she had and other vegan entrepreneurs have is they fall in love with their own product and they don't necessarily test it enough with the general public, so that it can be very tempting just to say my group of 10 vegans loves this new ranch dressing, But I have a question that kind of popped in my head.
So Marla, before you go, I want to clarify. When I was saying that it wasn't good, I meant the cheese what we grew up with.
Yes.
The dairy cheese we grew up with, that wasn't good cheese.
Such a good point.
And they're replicating not good cheese because
that is such a good point.
Because we grew up with it.
Right.
At the Plant-Based World Expo, there were a few of them there. Right. And I spoke to one of them. I think it might have been Good Planet or the other brand that we tried. And he had said all he heard that day over and over was the nostalgia.
Yeah.
And this is what I had. This little triangle of cheese that's like this big, and I was like, this is what we grew up with. But that's a 20-year-old, a 25-year-old doesn't know what we're talking about.
Right.
But you know what? Right. Food is emotional. Food, these things like, is it a top, priority to make nostalgic food? Probably not. But it is, we're at a place now where we can start playing with stuff, and just having a little fun. One of the points I was going to make, Helene, to your point, is, so I went vegan when I was 26, and I, was never, oh, I'm sorry, like 28. Not that it matters, but I'm never a huge, I was, in my 20s, poor as you're supposed to be when you're in your 20s. I wasn't like a fancy cheese person. So when I would have like blue cheese and goat cheese and stuff like that, I just thought it was absolutely disgusting. So now that there are vegan goat cheeses and blue cheeses and stuff like that, I'll have a bite and I'm like, yep, that is goat cheese. I don't know how the hell they did that. What are the combinations of flavors?
Right.
Something to taste like how a goat smells, but somehow you did it, and it's like, I don't need to eat that again because that was, never a thing of mine. But that is such a good point, Helene, is that when you're replicating, like, I don't want to say imitating, but when you're creating the vegan version of something that you remember, really remember it. Don't idealize it. Don't romanticize it. Like, really get into what it really tasted like. I'm sorry, Laura, did you have? So I can't tell because things are flashing a little bit.
I know. Sorry, the cat's moving back and forth behind me. No, I mean, I can talk anytime.
Okay. Patricia, like, does anyone have a vegan mozzarella that you enjoy the most? I'm curious what you guys think. What do you guys have it was never my biggest thing, but I did like, I do like smoked flavors. So I like Miyoko smoked mozzarella.
Gosh, it's so good. I was able to get my hands on
Straight
some. It's
out
really
of
hard to
the-
find.
Yeah, I tried the liquid mozzarella, which is
Yep.
amazing.
Have you tried that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's on the
yes.
pizza I made the other day.
Yep.
Like a-
So you guys,
Yep.
that is like true innovation, and that she's
It
like,
is.
okay, so we used to eat liquid cheese in the 90s because we didn't know
Yeah.
how like that was not intentional. It would go straight from solid to liquid. Because Miyoko is who she is and has this refined palate and is such an innovator. So her thought process is, if you want your cheese to melt on your pizza, why go through the middle section of it being the solid thing, and why not go straight to melted cheese on your pizza? So it's like a squeezable thing, correct?
It's pourable. It's not
Yep.
squeezed. It's pour.
Oh, okay.
You literally
so
just pour it
describe
on.
I
Yep.
haven't gotten it yet.
Kind of like a smoothie bottle.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty amazing. I'm like just waiting for Cheese Whiz to come out next, Speaking of nostalgia.
Oh God, I remember that. Like when, like speaking of, I feel like I've referenced Miyoko like 20 times already, but like back in the 90s, she had Hip Whip, which was their, it was a tub of vegan whipped cream. But after that, there was a brief period where there was, an early adopter of, I think it was Soya 2. Do you guys remember that Soya 2?
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
had
Yeah, the can whipped cream.
aerosols. Yeah,
Yep.
it would only work once.
Pretty
So that, so if you were going to use with that whipped cream, you had to use it all that one time. But so anyway, my question is, what do you guys like for mozzarella?
So I think we already covered
Oh,
Miyoko.
you
It's
did.
amazing. But I also love virgin cheese as well. Their line is amazing. They have tons of really great cheeses, especially kind of specialty cheese. But love virgin cheese. That's
West Coast. We don't have that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Unless it's under a different name, but we don't
It's called
have
virgin
it.
cheese.
Virgin?
Really,
Okay.
really good.
I think I have heard of that.
I mean, I like Violife and I like Good Planet.
too.
Or
like
Follow Your Heart as well. I don't think. I mean, it's not terrible. The mozzarella is not terrible. You can make it pretty easily. On your own. I don't think it's that. It's not as easy to me as making a vegan ricotta.
Exactly.
But the mozzarella you can. It gets that sticky pull. It wasn't. It was good because I made it, but it wasn't. I wouldn't call it mozzarella.
Right.
Yeah.
It has a. Yeah. But Steven liked it when I made it.
Sean has never complained about any of my food, so let's think. I don't think it's because I'm such a superlative chef or anything like that. I think he just is happy to put food in his belly. So
What are you gonna make? Exactly.
But that is sometimes I do think sometimes that is how you have to look at it. Is just like, I am not necessarily saying that this is going to replace your memories of what this food tastes like, but just take it on its own value. This is a delicious, delicious thing. Yeah. I think that's the problem, Patricia, with a lot of vegan cheeses. Although these days, I'm curious what you've tried, because I don't buy vegan cheese that much. I just honestly, I'm content with my, my Vitamix and cashews and miso and stuff like that. But I know that's not for everyone. But to me, that's like, I'm happy with that. So I have a question for you guys that just popped in my head. So unless I already asked this, I don't remember. If you were a new vegan and you just signed up for a program like Veganuary, what do you think, or you are just contemplating becoming a new vegan, what do you think would be the most helpful to include in the materials that were sent to you? So like, what do you think you struggled most with in your early days? So like, taking aside like maybe lack of access, availability, or I should say. So like, would it have been eating out? Would it have been recipes? Would it have been community? Would it have just been basic familiarity? What do you think would be helpful to include, or at least to think about, when you're creating this kind of a program from your perspective?
I think for me, it was, well, it was a lot of things because it was the 90s, but, it was substitutes and community. I think those were the two biggest things. Recipes too, but I think it's different now, like you said, Marla. But I think one of the big things is, especially with baking, like egg replacers. What can replace an egg, and what do you use for what? Obviously you're not going to use
there's like
banana and like,
right.
sourdough bread, but
right.
it's like, it's finding the right replacer for the right thing.
Right.
And I think that is a hard one, especially with eggs. Milk is so easy now. I mean, it's nothing like it used to be. It was like, eat in soy and that was it. And now you have like a gazillion different things, right? So it's so different. And then I think the one that's still the hardest is cheese. I do think that's the hardest for people, because cheese is so addicting. It literally is addicting. And it's the hardest thing for people to give up. From what my friends have told me that try to make the transition, it's not the meat, it's the cheese. It's not the milk, it's not the eggs, it's the cheese.
Right. I do hear
and
that
that's
again.
the hardest one, because it's almost there, but it's still not perfect. I feel like the spreadable soft cheese is there, but the sliceable cheese, like if you want an old school grilled cheese sandwich, that still is not my point.
My general feeling, and this is what I tell people, is like, if you do want to eliminate or go vegan, I tell people to really take a good solid 3 or 4 weeks, ideally 4 weeks, off of all cheese, including vegan cheese, to reset your palate, because and I mean, I think that it probably takes maybe even a little longer emotionally, because you're remembering your nana's this or that. But in terms of the actual mechanics of your palate and your taste buds and stuff like that, I do think that, like, if you try a vegan cheese and you just quit dairy a day or two ago, it's going to taste different, not worse, but different. And to your mind, as someone who feels like, as we talked about before, the importance of reframing stuff, it feels like you gave something up. You're just seeing that as a loss. You're seeing this as well now as a sacrifice, or as sadness, So I do feel like a thing that was interesting that happened to me, like maybe 10 years ago. So I had already been vegan for 15 years by that point. I had ordered a vegan wrap at a restaurant, and it accidentally put feta cheese, and there was no vegan alternative. So I didn't confuse it, so it was just kind of like, what the fuck? Anyway, I had taken a big bite before. I was like, ooh. But the point is that this thing that I thought I could never give up tasted so disgusting. And it wasn't because of the mental, it wasn't because of the suffering cows. It was a visceral disgust of, that is not a craving of mine anymore. But so sometimes it really is that separation.
Well, and it has like this very, because I've done the same thing, Marla, where like, and it is hard nowadays, but you still know when it's not fake cheese. Yeah. It has this rich kind of it's gross. Yeah, I mean, once you stop eating it and you try it, it's like, it's like eating a stick of butter. Like that's almost kind of what it reminds me of. Like it's so rich and disgusting, and it doesn't taste the same. And I think to your point, if people quit eating it for 2 to 3 weeks and then try to eat it again, they would feel the same way. Because people are just so used to it. They think, oh, this is amazing. But when you stop and then try it, it's not the same. And I always tell people too, with vegan cheese, don't think of it as a cheese replacer. Think of it as something else. Just like with fake meat, because everyone's like, well, this doesn't taste like, and now it does almost. At least that's what I'm told. But don't think of it as a meat replacer. Think of it as its own entity.
It's its own thing. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, I agree with you. How about you, Kimberly? What are your thoughts on what do you think would have been the most helpful to you as a vegan?
Community.
Or someone just exploring it. Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been the community aspect of it. My mom is vegan now, but when I first went vegetarian, I was the only vegetarian I knew for a decade. Like I didn't even encounter another vegetarian, let alone another, let alone a vegan. And so it would have been really nice to have. And this was early 2000s, so there wasn't Facebook and all that. Now that's a little easier, I think, to find local groups and things like that. But yeah, I think knowing other people who are going through the same transitions that you are, and are feeling the same way about it. Because I can't tell you how many times like people said to me like, oh my God, you're so weird. Like, when are you going to go back to being normal? Why are you not eating this? Why are you eating that? And how many like dates were ended as soon as they were like, wait, you're a what? And they were not interested in dating a vegetarian or, so just, having that community would have been really nice.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I do have a quick follow-up question for you. So do you feel that a virtual or online community would, be enough for you? So like say, the Veganuary groups, or maybe even an offshoot of that, like more localized, or like your local vegan. I mean, like almost every place that has a large enough city has a local vegan group, and they're almost always hot messes on Facebook. But would that, do you feel like that would fill that need or not?
I think so, especially now, with COVID still here. That having a safe space to meet people who are making the same transition would be nice. But yeah, ideally, being able to meet people in person would be the best thing.
I agree. Helene, what did you have to say?
Well, let's see. To go off of the most recent conversation, meetup.com was a big part of pre-Facebook life. Meetup.com and local vegan societies, which have existed for forever, were out there, and you just had to, meet the right people or just figure out where they were in, I guess, the archaic days of possibly something in print. Well, the internet existed, but Facebook didn't. So you could do some searches, but Meetup was a really big help for meeting other people. When I moved to a new city, I moved from New York to North Carolina, I immediately went on to Meetup and found all the vegan vegetarian groups.
Right. I don't know if you guys remember, back in the day, there was like on.
I'm not done.
Oh, you
I'm not
paused.
done.
Excuse me, you
I'm not even
paused.
close to done. Mara, shush.
I'm sorry.
Not
This
done.
is why I mute myself. I am going back to mute myself now.
I'm like, wait. Nope. I was just going off of what Kimberly just said. I have my own words to say. So, all right, thank you for muting yourself, Marla. It's like, no, wait. So, meetup.com, but being on Facebook now, a lot of people are becoming vegan or trying to go vegan or moving to different cities to try to figure out where and what and how. And my best advice to someone who's in a new group is to do search before you post something, but that's a whole other story. But people's questions that they ask: where can I go eat? Dining. How do I cook? Recipes. So I created a recipe group on Facebook, which has 1,800 people in it. It's called Triangle and Beyond Vegan Recipe Page. Drop recipes in there, advice only about cooking, no drama. These are the main things. Community, where do I eat? How do I cook it? Where do I find the foods that will be like what I've been eating? And nutrition. How do I not eat French fries and ketchup and bread, because I know those things are probably vegan. And one of the things that Donna just said was read the ingredients on the package and its own entity is a great statement. 100% true. Reading ingredients, you have to read ingredients when you want to go into something like veganism or just being healthier.
Right.
That's something you need to do. And for those that don't cook, Kimberly and I have a lot in common. When I went vegetarian at 19, I didn't eat any vegetables. I ate like corn, potatoes, peas, carrots, lettuce, onion. I didn't eat any healthy vegetables. I had to learn to like those. Thankfully, I was young, so I grew up learning to eat zucchini. I still don't eat mushrooms. I don't like beets, and I don't like sprouts. So, but not everybody
You're
eats every
allowed.
food. Exactly. Not everybody eats every food, so it's
Exactly.
okay because there's tons of foods on this planet. So I get a lot of crap for not eating mushrooms.
You
But
sound like, yeah, maybe
yeah.
somebody's.
Yeah, so that's one I think one of the pieces for people that want to do Veganuary, people who want to step into veganism, people want to go into whole food plant-based,
Right.
and they have that, where do I start? What do I do? How do I do this? It's so overwhelming. Probably not as much as when Kimberly and I stepped into this realm. And for you, Marla, as well, because Laura's just been in it for her life. She's just kind of flowed with it and watched everything change. But it's Donna's in Durham. So yeah, the Sprouts Rosemary and Durham Food Co-op are great. And we've got Weaver Street as well, another food co-op locally, which are amazing. And I do love Sprouts as well. Oh, and then we've got so many we need to block. So that's
Right.
awesome.
One of the things can I jump in? I didn't know if you were pausing again or not. Sorry.
I was going to block. Kimberly got to it first. Yeah, so that's. Let me finish. So that's like for Veganuary, for people who want to, want to take those steps, and it can be daunting, but with community, which you easily have at your fingertips now, phone and computer and tablet, whatever you use, you have the ability to find the resources that you need. It's your decision and choice to want to move forward in doing it. If someone says that they're like on their own island and they can't do this and they have nothing, I get you may live in a community where there aren't any other vegans or vegetarians, but man, virtually the whole world of vegans and vegetarians will help you.
Right.
So, and I just want to pop in and say really quick too, Vegan Mentor is a great resource as well. I've been a mentor off and on for that company for several years. And what I like about what they do specifically is that they try to match you with a mentee that is in your neck of the woods. So then you're able to give them advice, like what restaurants to go to, what things to do. And most of them that I've been a mentor to have typically a husband or a partner or a significant other that aren't going vegan or aren't, necessarily not supporting it, but they're not going on the journey with them. And friends and family, same deal. So how do you navigate that? How do you still stay true to what you want to do in your lifestyle, but then also still be able to live a normal life with those who you've been around for a long time? And that's usually typically the hardest thing is, and that's what I would always get is, well, my boyfriend's supporting it, but he's not going to do it. So, you know, where do I go? What has both options? What has a vegan menu?
Sure.
And how do I deal with this new resentment I now have towards my partner not taking this journey with me? Because that's another thing too. It's very hard to do that. It's a,
Right.
it's a very
or
hard
vice
thing.
versa.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
it can go both ways in that
Yep.
because they're, I mean, I know it's silly, but we should also acknowledge that they're feeling this sense of loss of like, we used to go to this favorite pizza place. We used to
Yes.
do this together. We have this memory of that, you know? So it's like, I think it's better just to be honest about processing the emotions around change than just pretend that it's a non-issue.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe part of the overwhelm, I don't want to diminish, because I do feel like this change is harder for some than others, even with all the things that we have at our fingertips today. For me, once I learned why, it was a non-issue, you know, pretty much. But for a lot of people, they just really struggle. And I think that struggle is legitimate. I think they genuinely struggle, because I've had conversations with people who seem genuinely wanting to move in this direction. They're just having issues. So maybe part of the overwhelm sometimes is just, you know, a campaign like Veganuary is helpful in the sense of like, here's an app that's very helpful for finding vegan food on the road. Happy Cow, Vanilla Bean, you know, like just like, rather than say, try this and this and this and this, like just to really get it organized, you know, that would be helpful for me. Another thing that I think ironically could be kind of more stressful today and maybe not ironically, about the process of going vegan in this world where we're also ultra connected, is you're always getting feedback from people. You're always, you know, you're trying your best and someone tells you how you failed. You're trying your best and someone tells you it's not good enough. You're trying your best and someone's laughing at you. You know what I mean? So like, this is part of why I have such issues with vegans policing other vegans to begin with.
Because we're also ultra sensitive too. And that's also equally as annoying.
Exactly.
And the categories.
Right. I couldn't agree more. So I do feel like that is a stressor that we didn't necessarily have, is getting all this, you know, unsolicited or maybe sometimes solicited, but unkind feedback, you know.
We just got it in person. We didn't get it through the internet.
Right.
We got the shit talk from our siblings or from our family. And what do you mean you're doing that? You're never going to last. That's
which honestly is sometimes easier because at least not everyone's seeing it.
Right. But
that's what I think is so hard, is that everybody knows everything now. So when one person comments, everyone sees that comment. And it's just, there's something different. It's, you know, this online bullying or whatever you want to call it. It just sucks. I mean, I'm just over it. I just really am.
I'm with you. And I do feel like vegans, we need to play our part in not adding to the culture of bullying and one-upmanship and gotcha culture, you know? I mean, if somebody's trying and they did something you don't approve of or whatever, how can you educate in a way that's humble and kind and, you know, all those things. So, you know, it does seem like a hang up around going vegan a lot of times happens to be among people who are pleasers, who are trying, you know, not necessarily wanting to rock the boat, not necessarily wanting to do make the different choice. So we have to, I think, be sensitive to the fact that we're all different and we're all motivated by different things. And I do think, you know, we do have so much possibility now, and we just, let's, you know, be kind, you know?
Yeah.
Or basically, don't be a dick.
Right.
Yeah. It's really simple. Simple way to live.
That's going to be your epitaph.
It is. If I want to put it on a shirt, but I have a family-friendly festival, so I can't. But I mean, but it's really simple words to live by. If like you wouldn't want it said to you,
Right.
usually don't say it. If you don't pass judgment,
Mhm.
scroll
Golden
by,
rule.
Yeah,
change the
keep on scrolling.
change the channel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just all you have to do. I get that you have an opinion on what I said.
Right.
I say a
Right.
lot of things. I know you have an opinion. I don't necessarily want to hear it. Sometimes I do, but I
Right.
don't necessarily want. I don't need to hear it.
Mhm.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not like us vegans go around and commenting on carnivores' posts and saying plants.
Right.
You know, like they
Right.
say bacon on everything. You know, like that's what's annoying to me is that. And then you have the militant cultish vegan, which is equally as annoying as the carnivore, because I've been vegan most of my life. Yet I don't go around telling people you're not doing good enough. And that's not vegan. You can't call yourself vegan because you put honey on your cornbread. Like, I'm not going to be that person, because every single meal counts.
Right.
And it's
And
not
every
about,
time,
it's about saving the freaking planet. It's
right.
on
Every
freaking
time is a
fire.
new,
Yes. So it's
it's a
the
new
greater good.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And every meal makes the difference.
Right.
Every freaking meal makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be that person that's going to be super judgy. I'd rather be supportive and
Mhm.
say, here's a little carrot, here's a big carrot. You want to see the
Mhm.
big difference you can make? Instead of that one meal, try two.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Or just
and
thank
just
you
get
for
them on
trying that
track.
meal.
Yeah.
Thank you for changing that meal that you've always eaten, like
Yep.
meat and potatoes, or it's been an omnivorous meal, to a
Mhm.
vegan one, to a whole food plant-based one.
Right.
I don't care what it is. Thank you for doing it, because
Right.
that step is the step forward. Me
Yep.
saying you're not doing enough is like, fuck this.
Mhm.
Well, I'm doing
Right.
enough,
I
then why
mean,
bother?
right.
Mhm.
I do feel like it's a fine line though, in that we don't want to be so, um, conscious of, appealing to people that we dismiss actual harm, like where we're just like, if you just eat bacon every once in a while, it's okay. It's not, I do feel like it's important that we bring our honesty, and, we are representing the animals in these conversations. So I do feel like that's why the onus is on us to both be kind and to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, that we can do both. It is possible. You will end up pissing people off. You will, almost necessarily, because if you are vegan, you might be looked at as the person to make your confession to. I see you, Kimber. But if you don't want to accept that role, that's okay. You can, you can still be kind and just be very straightforward about the fact that I'm not giving you absolution about, contributing to harm. So Kimberly, what were you going to say?
So I think I don't know, it's probably 2 years ago at this point, but a kind of friend of mine had been vegan. She'd gone vegan for probably like a year. And she used to post about it on her, her social media about how great it was. And then one day she posted a picture of a pizza. And I could tell immediately that it was not a vegan pizza. And then I read the caption, and it was, I just really wanted regular cheese. No one's going to take away my vegan card for this. And then there were comments of like, yeah, like you're allowed to have dairy every once in a while. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Enjoy that pizza. And I was like, sorry, I'm going to be that vegan.
Right.
Because if you are actively choosing this and now you're also like sharing it, you've been going on about being vegan, and now all of a sudden you're like, look,
Right.
it's just more important to me that I have this craving and I'm going to do it. And if that's what you choose to do, then that's what you choose to do. But like, don't this whole like, nobody's going to take away my vegan card. Like, hello, hi, that's what I'm here for. I am taking away your vegan card right now. And, for the most part, you guys, you hear me on the show, people that tune into Fireside Chat, or did you bring the hummus? Like, my goal is never to make people feel badly about not doing a vegan thing, but like, come on. So sometimes we do have to step in and be that vegan and be like, look, this isn't actually okay within the vegan parameters.
Right.
And like have a conversation.
Right.
But of course, like, she's one of those people where her response at first was like, oh, but you're so worried about the animals, but what about, human trafficking, and what about this? And she listed and I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about. You were the one who said no one's
Right.
taking away my vegan
Moving the
card.
goalposts.
That's the conversation. Don't try to move this to something else.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's such a really important example of how being kind doesn't mean that, because again, we're here to give voice to those who are not able to defend themselves in this dynamic. So you can do that in a way. I feel like it takes nuance, but I feel that you can do that. And I think Kimberly, you can do that. Laura can do that. Helene can do that. I can do that. Is we can, if somebody wants to get pissed off when you're being honest about an issue, but you're doing your best to be kind, that is on them. That is their prerogative to get pissed off about it. That's their prerogative to call you judgy or shamey or whatever. But that you brought your best to the, that's all you can do sometimes, So I do feel like, it can be a difficult spot when that kind of thing comes up. But I feel like personally, even after all these years of being vegan, it will be, I don't know, like, is it 27 years in February? I feel like, and I'm not trying to sound dramatic, but I feel like there's a knife in my heart every time I see a former vegan post non-vegan food.
It's disappointing. It's really disappointing.
It feels like it's not like a personal betrayal. It's a betrayal of
the mission.
It's like, how do you go back to eating that if you understand the environment impacts and the environmental impacts and the impacts on the animals?
Right.
I get your selfishness to feed yourself the foods.
Right.
There's enough food out there that you'll be satisfied. But if you truly understood like what vegan is, you truly understood the impact on the planet, you truly understood the impact on the animals, you would never make that choice.
Yeah.
You would never ever make that choice.
I agree.
I mean, you could take my father as the main example. My dad raised me vegan. He sold all the chickens from our chicken farm. He made us make this huge change. And then the minute he, got remarried, it was, I'm going to go back to eating Spam bread and gravy. And so what? And it's still hard that he did that. My aunt, who turned the whole family vegan, ended up buying a meat factory.
Oh,
what?
Yep. And then she went back to eating meat for a decade, sold the meat factory, and now she's back being vegan and convinced her husband to do the same thing. So now that meat money is going towards plant-based, which is interesting in itself. But it's those people, my family core, the only people that stayed were me and my mom. That was it. Everyone else eventually said, this is too hard. This is too tough. Or, what? My lifestyle means more than the voiceless animals that are suffering and the planet. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the animals, it's the planet that's suffering. And that's what bothers me the most. And I'm one of those people, if you have a slip up, whatever.
Yes.
Just don't post about it. For the love of God. Don't act like it's some awesome badge to wear. Like, hey, I ate this cheese pizza because I missed it so much.
Don't seek absolution. Yeah.
It's like, do you want a cookie or a gold star for being a dick? Like, which one do you want? It just. Well,
and the whole point is to learn from the experience, right? It's just like, now I know. It's like a lot of learning to go vegan, especially, we live in a profoundly non-vegan world. There are none of us, if you've been vegan for a while, none of us is imperfect. No, none of us has not made a mistake, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the grace of it is, saying, dusting yourself off, because it's not about us. It's not about our egos. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing our best. And it's just getting back into it, learning from it and moving on, that's
right. Well, and it's so interesting because you can kind of tell the different types of vegans, right? Like you have the ones that are like, oh my God, I ate cheese today and I feel like garbage and I feel so guilty. And then they post about that. And then you have the vegans who are like, oh, I did this because I missed it. And there's totally two different types, right? And there's always one I'm going to empathize with just a little bit more than the other.
So I was going to say it's 7:04. We're at our hour, but it's always so nice talking to you and talking with all the people who showed up in our chat. It's just, I don't know, somehow it all disappeared for me. I hear dog nails on the floor or something. But anyway, so Helene will take us out, but I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight and remind you to join us in 2 weeks on Wednesday, and wish everyone a very, very happy New Year. So
Yes.
I think Helene's going to take us out now, right?
Yes, thanks. And hi, Go. Glad you made it. You can watch on the replay. So I missed the chat. Well, you didn't really miss the chat because you can start it from the beginning. And if you make any comments, I always see them. And if there's a need for to respond, I'll respond to them. But I always like all the comments. So thanks, Susan, for saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year
Yes.
to you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Veganuary.
Happy New
And-
Year.
Yes.
I'll be in my
Yes.
pajamas. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you gonna
it's
watch
Wearing
COVID.
my
Anderson?
fanciest robe with the
Yep.
hood
Yep.
and the
Robe,
pocket.
champagne, Anderson Cooper.
COVID. It's
Always
COVID New
Anderson.
Year. Yes. Yes. This is
Well,
definitely-
even if it weren't.
Yeah, we might have people over if it wasn't for
Let's give
COVID.
up the ghost. That has been my New Year's for a while. Yeah.
Let me see. Wait. What is this, guys? There is no truly. I have a hard time with this truth absolution of today's vegans. This is not about ego, but about learning, understanding more informative chats like this. Oh, no, Bologna UK. That's amazing. Thank you. That's really cool. And Diane, thank you. Oh, happy Veganuary and happy
Yes.
New Year. Oh, you're also amazing.
Yes. And just really quick before we sign off, I just want to say that VKind is coming out with a vegan beginners 101 guide. That's going to be a new Veganuary guide. I have lovingly put together 51 pages of this guide to help new vegans. It even comes with a 5-page article on the famous vegan rebuttal. So if anybody wants to access that, go to vkind.com, go to the guides, and it will be there for you to access also on, it's also going to be on veganuary.com as well. And they're also going to have an interview with the one and only Wendy Matthews on January 19th on VKind Connects. So look out for that.
Yay, that's
Yay.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Wendy's amazing. So
She is.
it's
She's
absolutely that makes
Yeah.
me very happy.
That's awesome, Laura.
Actually, yeah, that's really incredible. So
Yeah.
all right, so I'm gonna put everyone back into the green room. Here we go. Say bye. Laura, Miss Kimberly. So everyone, thank you once again for joining the Vegan Stew. We're really glad that you're here. You know, if you watch it on the replay, you can put little hashtag replay so that we know you're watching it then, because then we know that you're responding to us, but we were not live anymore. And we will respond to you because I always see every comment. And if you want a response, I'll respond to you. So that's the easiest thing. So thank you again. We are back in 2 weeks at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next version of the Vegan Stew, which will be episode 15. Topic, no clue. We have it set. I don't know what it is. I don't know who's hosting. I don't know anything. I go look at that after we finish, which maybe beforehand would have made more sense. But it's a surprise for us. It'll be a surprise to you too. And it'll be 2 weeks. And through that, we're going to end up in January and in New Year 2022. And we are still going to have COVID. So my advice to you is how I used to end Virtual Veg Fest Live is please wear a mask over your nose, under your chin. Incredibly important that you wear it correctly because if you wear it below your nose, it defeats the whole purpose of the mask. So please make sure you wear your mask, you social distance, you wash your hands. And you know what? I'm going to say something a little controversial on a vegan show. Go get a flu shot. Guess what Laura just had? The flu. Diagnosed. Not COVID, the flu. That's why she wasn't with us last week. So, you know what? It sucked. And so does COVID. So get vaccinated, get boosted, get a flu shot, do what you have to do that's best for your health and what's best for you, because no judgment here, because that's what we have to do. Because if we're sick, then we can't do this. And that would suck. So we take care of ourselves the best that we can. And that's the most important definition of being vegan, doing the best that you can. So subscribe, get notifications, and to enter the Wishbone contest at virtualvegfest.com. Do it this year to get into the December one, start in January to get into the other one, sign up for newsletters, do whatever you have to do, but most importantly, be kind, have a happy new year. Thank you for being part of our 2021 and starting this venture, which has been absolutely incredible. And we'll see you soon. Have a happy and healthy and lovely